Make America good again. The great ship has sailed. Let me start with a clarification, though I doubt it'll penetrate the target audience. When I try to articulate my deep frustration with our political hellscape, people say, "You just hate him," as if it's a simple personality clash. I'm old enough to remember the last real president. You know, the two-term guy before 45 and Biden. The constitutional lawyer who still promoted honor, promise, and hope. The man who allowed most of us to feel safe and connected as Americans again. I haven't slept soundly since November 7th, 2016. Have you ever tried to reason with a Trumper? It's a fool's errand. It's not just that their vocabulary seems limited to about 6 rally chants and 4 angry bumper stickers. It's that they seem fundamentally incapable of reason itself. But fine, let's pretend for a moment this is a good faith discussion. My issue isn't with a single man, but with the entire toxic phenomenon he unleashed. It's about the sleazy methods that are now considered normal, the values he gleefully eroded, and the social fabric he shredded for sport. It's the lasting stain he leaves on the very idea of a functional civil society. It's about the relentless assault on basic, verifiable truth. Sure, politics has always had spin. But this is different. This is a full-scale war on reality, waged with a fire hose of falsehoods so powerful it has worn the fabric of American society down. We live in a world where a leader's tantrums are treated as policy, scientific consensus is a deep state conspiracy, and journalists are enemies of the people for the crime of quoting him accurately. This isn't a policy disagreement. You can't build a house on quicksand, and you can't solve national problems when half the country has been convinced that up is down and facts are optional. It's about the gleeful celebration of willful ignorance. My frustration boils over at a culture that not only dismisses expertise, but actively scorns it as elitist. It's the conscious choice to marinate in a media ecosystem of pure, uncut propaganda, where any inconvenient fact is fake news. It is absolutely maddening to watch decades of research, data, and history get flushed down the toilet in favor of a conspiracy theory some guy cooked up in his basement. This isn't a critique of intelligence. It's a lament for the masses who have proudly chosen to shut their brains off. And most painfully, it's about the normalization of just being a terrible person. The us versus them mentality is now the only setting. Basic human empathy is now derided as woke weakness. Compromise is for suckers and traitors. The language is no longer about disagreement, but about dehumanization, with glee taken in the misfortune of others. The highest political achievement isn't helping your country, it's owning the libs online. This coarsening of our collective soul, this newfound public permission slip to indulge our worst, cruelest impulses, is the most dangerous part of it all. Remember Pandora's box? That shit is out. So no, it's not that I hate one single person. I hate that shameless lies are now a legitimate political strategy. I hate that rejecting facts is worn as a badge of honor in a cult of ignorance. I hate watching the seeds of division and hatred being sown, knowing we'll be reaping this bitter harvest for decades. And I especially hate that there is no apparent accountability for anything in the federal government. We vote for convicted criminals. The Electoral College, which was tasked to protect our nation against shit like this, completely failed. Verified news stories or protests no longer influence any sort of change, and the notion of impeachment has been proven to be a complete joke. This isn't personal animosity. It's the primal scream you let out while watching arsonists burn down the home your ancestors died to protect and preserve, while the fire trucks that could quickly extinguish the flames helplessly sit there and watch. The only good news? The base is shrinking. Not from a sudden wave of education or the realization that their guys are nothing more than elitist, unqualified carnival barkers, but from the simple, undefeated march of time. The cavalry isn't coming, but the mortician is. Of the original 66 million voters who were on the foolish side of the 2020 election, it is projected that approximately 58.9 million would still be alive by the time of the next presidential election in November 2028. An informal statistical forecast indicates that roughly 7.1 million individuals from that group will pass away before this time frame. But don't fear, Trumper. New idiotic voters who were raised by TikTok and couldn't recite a constitutional amendment if it were posted on a computer screen in front of their dim eyes are turning 18 by the thousands. And I'm sure they too will be coaxed to easily find the single red party button to elect the next unqualified idiot, probably based on even more shallow and unrealistic promises and lies.